Code monkey, get up, get coffee. Code monkey, go to job. Code monkey, have boring meeting with boring manager Rob. Rob say code monkey very diligent, but his output stink. His code not functional or elegant. What do code monkey think? Code monkey think maybe manager wanna write login page himself. Code monkey not say it out loud. Code monkey not crazy, just proud. Code monkey like Fritos. Code monkey like Tab and Mountain Dew. Code monkey very simple man. Big warm fuzzy secret heart. Code monkey like you. Code monkey like you.
So I'm gonna keep it real with all of you. I love this movie. This might actually be one of my all-time new favorite movies. And it most definitely is one of my all-time favorite horror movies. And I just love this movie so much. Okay, so hey everyone, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm the Media Raptor, been doing reviews for a while, blah blah blah. It's been like a month since I've uploaded anything, sorry about that. 2021's Willy's Wonderland. I'll be honest, I heard about this movie back in like 2019 when it was first called Wally's Wonderland, and I thought, oh, that sounds like Five Nights at Freddy's, and I found out that's exactly what it is, but with Nicolas Cage. My immediate reaction was, okay, so it'll be better than anything Five Nights at Freddy's could ever hope to do because it has Nicolas Cage. It came out today. Oh man, I love this movie. Okay. So let me try and explain why this movie is so fantastic to me, because I know to a number of people this is not going to be their kind of film. This movie hits the ground running with a weird concept and never lets up. It actually does something kind of weird with its main character, the Janitor, who is the character Nicolas Cage plays. He does not say a single word the entire movie. And for the first, like, half an hour, it's mainly just focused on him. Sure, we meet all the other characters who kind of like play into the story later, but for the most part, it's focused entirely on the Janitor cleaning up Willy's Wonderland. You might think, okay, why would you want to follow someone for 30 minutes without saying a word? Well, this movie is shockingly good at building tension with very little. Multiple times I found myself watching the screen but constantly looking around trying to see did anything move. To the film's detriment, they do that a bit too much, where instead of just having a head slightly turn or maybe an eye follow, like the whole arms move out, and that kind of lets you know something's coming. But I'm willing to let that slide because it was pretty minor. But it really isn't until around 30, almost 40 minutes when things really kick into high gear, although by the 20-minute mark we've had some really good violence. But the movie barely explains anything. And this is probably going to be one of the big issues a lot of people have, and if the movie wasn't so cartoonishly fun, I would have had more of an issue with it. Throughout the entire movie, we learn nothing about the Janitor. We don't know his name, he never speaks, he just sort of shows up, and he's constantly taking breaks to drink this thing called Punch Pop. I judge him, but considering how much Mountain Dew I drink, soda bros, you know? Now, I was thinking throughout the entire movie, oh, is he like some sort of like ex-hitman or something who's like running from his past, or does the soda tie in that like he's some sort of like supernatural force and this anchors him in reality? Spoilers, we never find out. On the one hand, it's kind of annoying, like, you know, it could be a really interesting plot point. On the other hand, it really works because it makes his character so stupidly overpowered and just so out of place that at no point does he ever show fear, anything other than anger or complete and total apathy, to the point when he nearly gets killed at least 4 times, then goes back to cleaning. Throughout the entire film, he never gives up on it, and I can't explain why I love it so much. This movie fully knows what it is, and it does not try to do anything other than what you want it to do. It knows you're here for some gory violence. It knows you're here for Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage, and it gives you that in abundance. That being said, our other characters are not the greatest things in the world, because for the most part, aside from the other main girl, I forget the actress who played her, and I'm really sorry, I had just finished watching the movie, they're all idiots. Like, they're all, you know, one of them's a stoner, one of them's a nerd, two of them are, like, have, like, a long sex scene. Like, it's a horror trope thing. But it actually kind of works because of a plot twist I'm not going to spoil, because I am begging you to go watch this movie. You have no idea how fun it is. But the main girl is actually kind of smart, to a point when she actually takes initiative, tries to do things right, and subverts multiple horror cliches throughout the movie. Sure, I kind of enjoyed watching the Janitor more, but that's because they were making him so extremely over the top and so unpredictable that you couldn't help but want to see what came next. And as for, like, the setting itself, just kind of the idea of, like, an abandoned, like, hot dog place. It's not a pizzeria, so FNAF can't sue them. I'll talk about it more when I get to the special effects, but the setting is great. And this movie is extremely well paced after about 15 minutes. Admittedly, the first 15 minutes both go too fast and too slow. If that makes any sense, let me put it this way. We get a bunch of stuff in the first 5 minutes. In the next 10 minutes, we get a bunch of stuff, but it also feels like we're getting too little. And it really is just an excuse to get to why we're here, so yeah, no, just take it for what it is and kind of roll with it. It really is a movie. You kind of have to shut your brain off a little bit, just take a step back and do the MST3K mantra of repeat to yourself, it's just a show. I should really just relax. You do that, you are in for one heck of a ride. And part of that has to do with the acting. Nicolas Cage does not speak the entire movie. He does everything with this shockingly blank face. And at first I was kind of like, oh, like it was kind of hard to even gauge if he was trying to, like, act calm or if he was just completely indifferent. He's completely indifferent and he acts it, but it works with his character. Like, it's one of the very few times I can think of when an actor not giving any performance whatsoever gives the best performance in the entire movie. I know that sounds weird, but you really have to see this movie in order to understand why. But again, I know some people really don't like it when their characters don't have much depth, and I know some people don't like a lot of horror cliches, and this one does follow a fair amount, but also knows not to go too deep into them. As such, to the film's credit, there's actually very few jump scares, and the few that are there are usually punctuated by extreme violence right after. That's super entertaining to watch. And as for other human actors, they're okay. There's nothing too special, nothing too like, oh man, they did such an amazing job, or oh, they were terrible. They're all entertaining. They do their characters justice, and that's kind of what they're there to do. As for the core cast of animatronics, such as Willy the Weasel, Sarah Siren, Ozzy the Ostrich, Gus Gorilla, Ali Alligator, and the Mexican one, I really can't pronounce his name, Nighty Night. And I'm missing one. Oh, the Chameleon Girl. I forget her name because she was barely in the movie. I was kind of thinking, how are they going to do these voices without making it seem too cartoonish or too serious? They hit the perfect mix. These voices, it literally sounds like something you would hear at like a Chuck E. Cheese style restaurant. And when it starts making that they're talking about killing and eating people, it makes it both hilarious and kind of terrifying. And again, a big part of why that works is the special effects. I was amazed by how much practical effects they used in this. There is some CG and it is kind of noticeable. But man, the costumes, like they did so much with actual costuming, like practical gore. Yeah, this movie is shockingly graphic and I'm totally here for it. But this is everything I want in a horror movie. This is everything I want in a modern cult classic. It's campy, it's funny, it's gory, it's violent, it's over the top, it's genuinely unnerving, it's creative. This has all the hallmarks of a genuine cult classic. And I kind of think, in all honesty, the fact that it did not get released theatrically, while I would have loved to have seen it in theaters, may help it in the long run because it'll be that much easier for people to get their hands on. But yeah, like there is a ton of gore. The animatronics all look great. Like, they look rotten, they look matted, and the sets. I wanted to talk about this. They're amazing because they make them look like it's been like 10 years since anyone stepped foot in the place. There is so much detail to every layer of grime and filth on everything. I was kind of amazed by how much detail there was. And you might be saying, hang on, why were you noticing that? I've worked as a janitor before for a few years. I tend to notice stuff like that, and they really went out of their way to ensure that everything looked real. So then when you got to the graphic violence, it made it all the funnier when it got dirty again, and then the janitor just goes right back to cleaning as if nothing happened. Again, I'm making this movie seem a lot worse than it is, and I don't know how to properly word it, but the fact that there's like no reaction from the main character is honestly the funniest thing in this entire movie, and I can't say why. But yeah, no, so the special effects are great, aside from two things. One, some of the CG is a little noticeable, and there is a little bit of CG blood, which is kind of distracting, but then when like someone gets torn in half, they use an actual blood cannon, so that makes up for it. And the character of Sarah Siren, all the animatronics or characters are noticeably like big, bulky costumes, because, you know, people are wearing them. With her, though, it's clearly just a mask, and there's a couple shots where it's like you see her from the back, and you can see the back half of the mask. You can kind of see, well, they did put some stuff to try and make it look like the wires connect or something, but it's pretty clear it is a human. Granted, those are very few shots, and the character's actually pretty fun on her own, so it does make up for it, but it can be a little bit distracting. But overall, I was amazed by how good these effects were for a movie that really should not have tried this hard. Like, this movie goes all out with everything, and it didn't have to, and I'm totally here for it. Something else that has no right to be as good as it is the music. The jingle they have. Okay, as somebody who grew up, you know, with like the Chuck E. Cheese jingle, with the McDonald's jingle, and with the worst thing you will ever hear, and I absolutely hate to this day the Marineland theme. You have no idea how much I hate that thing. I really thought we were going to get like that kind of annoying but catchy song. No, the song they use here, both like their jingle and the song they use in the credits, are so catchy that you can't help but smile and borderline feel like you want to sing along. I'm surprised how good it was. The overall score is nothing too special. Excuse me. But there is some good techno mix here and there. Although some of the score does actually help with the tension a little bit. Like, they do know how to make it kind of unnerving. Like, you feel in the back of your spine like something ain't right. And another part of that has to do with the lighting and the camera work. I was really concerned that a lot of the gore would be hidden in shadows and stuff, so they would try to be able to get around doing a whole lot of like gore shots. But much like Hobo with a Shotgun, they use a lot of really unique lighting techniques to both give it a really like gritty feel, like this kind of weird look to it that looks really cool. And yes, some of the gore shots are mostly hidden in darkness, but at the same time, the lighting, it makes sense for where they are, that there wouldn't be bright lights everywhere. With that being said, this is a warning to anyone out there who is photosensitive. There's like a good, something like 3-minute scene at one point when there was a lot of flashing lights, like constant on and off. I don't know if it's fast enough to actually affect anyone who suffers from any sort of photosensitive reactions or issues. I am not photosensitive. I'm totally fine with it. But I do know some people will have a reaction to it, or they might not. It might hurt or something. I don't know how it works. Just a heads up. Be warned. I can't remember the exact timestamp, but that's just a warning for if you watch when you watch the movie. The only thing I could say I really did have a bit of an issue with is the camera work. Because it does have a lot of like shaky, fast cuts and stuff like that, which does kind of take away from some of the fight scenes, because I'd love to see it more clearly or more like up close of like what was actually going on. But we do get enough shots that are just like crazy up close still and all that I think it more than makes up for it. Honest honestly, the one thing that I could actually point out as an actual failure on the movie's behalf is maybe they could have gone a bit more crazy with the kills with the animatronics. But they do go pretty crazy. I'm the kind of guy who wants to see the absolute maximum of everything, so that's just me. But there's one part where they say this place was built in 1996. And in the theme song, the one that even plays in the credits, they go, "Proudly serving families since 1984. And it's not a case of, oh, the character didn't know or something. No, the person that says it has like a very extensive knowledge of this place, and yet for some reason they get that wrong, and the song says it's like 12 years older than it is. Is that incredibly petty? Yes. Did I notice it anyways? Yes. Am I bringing it up because I can't think of anything to actually critique the film over? Yes. As I've said, if you're not a fan of horror movies, gore movies, or just B movies, you're not going to want to watch this. If you like any of those, though, you gotta watch this. This is a solid 4 Raptor Claw out of 4 film. This is genuinely one of my new favorite movies. I cannot wait till it comes out on Blu-ray so I can watch it over and over again with a bunch of friends. But like, go out, find it on Amazon, on iTunes, Apple TV, whatever it's on, and watch it. Because this movie has no right being as fun as it is, no right being as clever as it is, because there are some actually pretty funny scenes, and no right being as good as it is. This is the kind of B-movie that I live for. And you know what? It's probably the first horror movie in a long, long time that's actually been what I've been looking for. Because more recent stuff, like, say, Jigsaw or... Man, there haven't been a lot of horror movies recently. Okay, it's more in line with stuff like, Man, I can't really think of many good horror movies as of late that are not like, you know, Lighthouse or Hereditary or Midsommar. Because those are good in their own degree. This is like the fun, cheesy B-movie kind of horror. So yeah, you guys just trust me when I say you guys have got to see this. I absolutely loved every second of it. I could not stop smiling. I could not stop laughing. And I'd love to see a sequel, but I doubt it's going to happen. So I really hope the director of this movie goes on to make something else like this. Or if they wanted to do a sequel, I don't think they should, but here's an idea. You've done like a family restaurant, do an actual theme park. Like, go even further, make it that like by some coincidence they end up in a theme park that's haunted or something. I don't know. I just love this movie. So yeah, go check it out. You will not regret it if you're a fan of this kind of film. With all that being said, this has been the Media Raptor saying keep cool, and I will see all you Dino Dudes around. Later.